What is going on, fellow fans of Clash Royale? Yes, it's about that time of the month again, time when people are moody, bitter, and you never know exactly what is going to happen next. It's time for a balancing update. What did you think I was talking about? But anyway, yes, it's another big balancing update, and I've talked about this in past episodes. We have to come to expect this to happen just about every month. Now, there doesn't seem to be a solid set schedule, but as soon as you're comfortable with certain cards' strengths and weaknesses, things are going to change. And here comes this huge laundry list of changes, starting with, you guessed it, a nerf to the Royal Giants. Overused and probably a little bit overpowered, we are going to see a 4% damage decrease, so hopefully he won't be in just about every deck from here on forward. Moving on, the freeze spell is going to lose 1 second in duration across all range of freeze spells, and that is definitely going to make the timing and placement of them more critical than ever. And you probably could have predicted this next one of the most underused new cards, the Furnace, will now only cost 4 Elixir, but in exchange for that cheaper cost, the hit point reduction is 14% and the lifetime has been decreased 10 seconds down to just 40 seconds. Also, the Fire Spirits, both the individual card and the ones that come out of the Furnace, will do a 25% increase of area damage. Now, that seems like a huge increase, 25%, but it just takes it from 1.2 tiles up to 1.5, but that might be just enough for us to see more bouncing balls of fire in our near future. Next up, one of my favorite changes, the guards are going to see an increase in hit points and damage of 8%, and I have to admit this was the card that I was most looking forward to at the last update and the most disappointed to see its lack of performance and use afterwards. This might make a big change. Also, the fact that players were still leveling it up. The guards get my nomination for most improved, and I believe will be one of the 2 cards that will see the biggest increase in usage post-balancing update. And what's that other card, you ask? Well, I think it's going to be the Miner that is seeing a 6% increase in hit points. Already underused, I feel like more players will be using the Miner to dig a grave for their opponents. See what I did there? Okay. Moving right along, the Lava Hound has seen an increase of 3% in hit points, and that, combined with the fact that the Lava Pups are seeing a 9% hit point increase, could also make this card viable. I think that it was probably one of the most anticipated, exciting cards to come to the last update, and now we might actually see it in use. Lava Loon, Lava Loonion, Lava Hound Balloon Freeze, yes, it is definitely in the cards. In the cards. Sorry. Okay, the next one, my least favorite change, the Elixir Collector losing 9% more hit points. I'm guessing it's still a little bit overused and overpowered. It's in almost every deck, and this might be enough to talk some people out of bringing it. My opinion on the Elixir Collector for a while has been either bring one or bring a solid counter to it. If you've got a Fireball, that is going to become even that much more popular to take down that Elixir Collector quickly. The next change is going to be very interesting, and that is a hit point increase of 10% to the Knight. Now, lower level players were complaining for a long time that the Knight was overpowered. Now we're not seeing that much usage of it at all. So this hit point change could help him out. Again, it's all about countering that Knight and stopping that first charge with a cheap unit like a Goblin or a Skeleton. The next change comes to the Bomber, a card that is very popular at lower levels but not that frequently used at higher levels. Damage increase of 10%, and now I already feel like the Bomber is an extremely powerful card if you know how to use it. Definitely plan on making some episodes about its use in the future. This extra damage might make the Bomber one of the most valuable cards in the game if you use it correctly. Next up is a balance change to the Cannon, losing 5% of its hit points. Now there are 3 changes to 3 cards that are going to be very interesting here. The Cannon is the first one. The second one is a change to the Tesla. It is going to see a hit point increase of 5%, and then third, the Tombstone, a 10% increase in hit points. These 3 cards really interchangeable. Very much looking forward to the strategies that will come out of this with those 3 cards and which one people will use most often on defense. Another underused card, at least at higher levels, is the Witch. She is going to get a damage increase of 10%, and that is crucial. Remember that she does splash damage, so that should be an interesting change there as well. And take that in combination with a hit point and damage increase of 5% for skeletons, and that affects the Tombstone. Skeleton army, skeletons, and of course the witches' skeletons. That right there is a big change that affects a lot of cards. And last but certainly not least is my favorite balance change, my old favorite Golem. Yes, the Golem and the Golemite both receiving a hit point increase of 5%. You know that one of my favorite decks is the Golem Swarm. Maybe, just maybe, we will see more Golems in our future. We're definitely going to see them in mine. And that is going to wrap up the balance changes coming in May. Remember, you guys, I warned you, never get too comfortable with one deck. Don't focus on just one set of cards, as these changes are going to be constant throughout the life of Clash Royale. We're always going to see balance changes where the most commonly used cards may get slightly turned down and the most underused cards will receive buffs. Now, I'm curious to hear your guys' feedback. What do you guys think about these balance changes? What is your favorite? What is your least favorite? What else would you like to see changed? Thank you guys again, as always, for sticking around all the way to the end of this episode. Subscribe for daily Clash content, early update, and sneak peek information. And I hope to see you all back here again tomorrow for more full attacks.
Galadon, you saw those ticks? They forgot to nerf one thing, the most overpowered thing in the game. Play to $17. That's right.